is that equating your time with money. I had a great call with a great friend of mine this week, and one of the things is I was starting fresh FP&A and getting clients not only here in the U.S. but getting projects and building clients and having prospecting calls with people all across the world, in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, kind of everywhere. And one of the habits that I had to get out of was equating the time that I would invest to the money that I was getting or the value to the client. One of my earlier clients that we got into a great time and material engagement. It worked out for them. But one thing, as we start building the momentum, as I started learning, as I started planning, as I started getting access to systems, all of the things that you kind of have that onboarding process with a new client. Once we got into the engagement, one thing that I started to see with that client was the reluctancy to like schedule meetings with me, right? And that reluctancy came from because they knew the hourly rate that they were charging every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes, every hour conversation. It started to shift the conversation. Say, man, Chris, I would love to talk to you about that. But maybe we can, expand our weekly check-in for 30 minutes and just add another 30 minutes to that. And I started to find that a lot of my client, and this just for this specific client, I started to find a lot of our interactions. It was like the meter when you're in a taxi, right? Like as soon as you get in the taxi, the taxi driver hits that meter and he's just like got that going. And for me, that was one habit that I was like, okay, this isn't, I know I'm providing a lot of value. I know we're helping the client get their finance organization together. We're helping them around their budget. We're implementing tools. We're getting their processes together. We're helping upskill like we're doing all the great things. But that turned the conversation and prospecting with the client to really feel like, oh man, like I don't want to nickel and dime them every time. So we got to a point where I was like, hey, maybe it makes more sense to and when we looked at the reproposal and the contract that we had, I really had a change of perspective. I'm like, I don't want to get back to that situation where the client is reluctant to schedule time or do things with the team because of the dollar value towards it, right? So one of the shifts that we made is a retainer model, right? I come from the SaaS space. So all of my SaaS is software as a service. That is primarily the accounting, finance, FP&A, and financial leadership that I grew up in. High growth businesses, seed, startup, scale up to enterprise level SaaS companies. And I was like, I want to take that same mentality that we had around for our customers in SaaS, where you get the service every month and you pay that set price. Here's the value that you're going to get, and that was a big transition that we made. And I sat across from the client. I said, "Look, I know we're delivering great value to you, and we're going to continue to do that." So I switched over from a billable, hourly tracking, public accounting kind of thing over to a retainer model, and it was super valuable for the client, right? Because at the end of the day, we knew exactly what we're going to provide. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to support. Here's what you can expect from our team consistently every single month, and that's the value that we're going to give, right? And now it took that weight off of nickel and dime time. It took the weight even off of my team of like time tracking in the time tracking tool that we were using to like document everything. It took a lot of that out. So think that's one very, very important habit that fractional CFOs need to break. Stop equating your time with money. Start equating your time with value that you're providing to your clients.